business, I want you to hold on to that excuse, because I'm going to free you from it today. That's right. We're going to free you from self-doubt. We're going to free you from fear. We're going to free you from the garbage that's in your head. I know that my good friend Eric Murray was here, and he told you everything that you need to know in order to grow your business. I'm going to tell you how you free yourself of the excuses that are stopping you. And in fact, we're going to talk about the secret that is going to literally change your life. And the secret that I'm talking about is that there's this gap, everybody. There's a gap that defines your life. And what is the gap that I'm talking about? It's the gap between what's happening to you and how you respond. It's a gap that I'm going to prove to you today is only 5 seconds long. And the gap is the gap between inspiration and all those moments where you know that you should step out of your comfort zone and fear stopping you. It's the gap between confidence and knowing what you should do and self-doubt stopping you. It's the gap between inspiration and excuses stopping you. And I'm going to prove to you that that gap is just 5 seconds. And that we live our whole life inside this gap. And that the secret to being better, the secret to achieving your goals, the secret to your dreams, it's just 5 simple seconds. Now, I know a lot of you know the 5-second rule. For those of you who don't, we're not talking about the one we grew up with where you drop food on the floor, right? You pick it up and blow the dog hair off and you're good to go. Now, this is a mind trick that I invented that I'm going to tell you about that will literally change your life. It will change your business. And once you learn it, you won't forget it. And once you learn it, you're going to know the secret to this word. Courage. Now, when I used to hear the word courage, I would think about the big stuff. I would think about my heroes. I would think about life or death moments. But I want you to consider, for the sake of our conversation today, for the sake of your freedom, I want you to consider that courage is actually the little stuff. That courage, by definition, is the ability to do things that feel difficult, scary, uncertain, or new. And I'm telling you right now, in order to be free, you're going to have courage. In order to build the business that you deserve, you're going to need some courage. And I got to tell you something. In order to tell you the story of the 5-second rule, I got to take you all back 10 years. Back to a moment in my life when it took courage just to get out of bed and face the day. Now, 10 years ago, when the alarm went off, this is what I felt like doing to me. Anybody else ever feel that way? Now, for those of you that can spring out of bed like a jackrabbit, first of all, you're a weirdo, okay? Let's just get that straight. Secondly, if you don't have any trouble getting out of bed, I want you to use the alarm clock as a metaphor. Because we all have trouble doing something. And usually it's something small. Maybe you have trouble talking to your friends freely about this business. Maybe you have trouble getting to the gym. Maybe you have trouble lowering your tone of voice with your kids. Maybe you have trouble when it comes to the way that you talk to yourself in your head. We all got something. And I want you to think about the alarm clock in the story as a metaphor, a symbol for those moments that happen every single day to you, where you know what you should do. It's like an alarm, where that instinct comes up. That moment where you have a little bit oh, I should talk to that person. That's the alarm I'm talking about. Well, every single morning for me 10 years ago, the alarm would go off, that's what would happen. And then that 5-second gap would open up that I was talking about, that gap that defines your life. And it was as if somebody had opened up a window in the middle of winter time and cold air started to blow in. Where was the cold air blowing in? It was blowing in up here. That alarm went off, I knew I should get up, and all of a sudden that cold air starts blowing in, and I was overwhelmed, and I started thinking about all the reasons about not getting out of bed, and I started saying to myself, well, I don't feel like it. Let me tell you something, I had every reason in the world not to get up. 10 years ago, my husband's restaurant business, he had a couple pizza restaurants, they were going under. I had lost my job. There were liens on the house. We were facing bankruptcy. I was drinking way too much. Chris and I were fighting like cats and dogs. We were circling the drain of life. Confidence going right down the drain with it. Courage right down the drain with it. Our entire life savings going down the drain with it. We were about to lose everything. Everything. That alarm would go off, you guys, and I know I should get up. You know what you should do. Especially if you listen to Eric Worre, for crying out loud. You know exactly what you should do. Knowing what to do, that's not enough. You gotta know how. How do you make yourself do it? How do you get out of bed when you don't feel like it? How do you walk up to somebody who's not a member, who's not part of this amazing organization? How do you do that when you're nervous about the reaction? You know what to do. How do you make yourself do it? That was my struggle every single morning. I literally always had an excuse not to get out of bed. Always. Always. So the alarm would go off, I'd start to think, I would think about all the reasons not to do it, and then my hand would be reaching for the snooze alarm. I mean, I hit that thing like 4 or 5 times. Why get out of bed? I don't have a job. Why get out of bed? It's not going to fix the problems. Why get out of bed? I don't feel like it. And you know, I don't think any of us do this. I don't think we do this. I don't think we wake up in the morning and go, oh, I have a great idea. Today's the day I'm screwing up my life. That's what I'm doing. Like, yep, this Saturday, right here, today. I'm going to hit the snooze alarm 4 times, and then I'm going to wake up completely freaked out late, and I'm going to run to the kitchen and start to snap at my family, and I'm going to get the kids in the car, and I'm going to drive really fast to school, and I'm going to get the kids out of the car, and I'm going to drive off so fast that I'm going to forget the backpacks and the lunch, and then I'm going to have road rage on the way to work, and then I'm going to get to work, and as soon as I walk into work, I'm going to snap at the first person I see. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go to my desk, and instead of making the 15 phone calls I need to make, then I'm going to log on to Facebook, and I'm going to look at Facebook for a while. And then I'm going to go to a meeting, and I'm going to text like a crazy person and roll my eyes at these people I have to deal with. Then I'm going to go back to my desk, and instead of doing the phone calls, instead of sending emails for my business, I'm going to look at Facebook again. Then I'm going to go to another meeting, I'm going to text on the table, I'm going to roll my eyes, I'm going to get a phone call, I'm going to roll my eyes at these people, I'm going to look back at Facebook again. Then I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to drive home, I'm going to skip the gym, I'm going to walk in the door, I'm going to snap at my spouse, and then I'm going to drink a ton. It's going to be awesome. You know, that's not what happens. What happens is something sneaky. What happens is something scary. And we're going to talk about it. Half the day, we are on autopilot. We're not even in control of what we're doing, and I'm going to prove it to you today. And when you're not paying attention, you start to make decisions. Do you know the experts say that we make 35,000 decisions a day? And when you're not paying attention, guess what's making the decision? Self-doubt, procrastination, overwhelm, anxiety. That is going to end today. I'm going to free you from that. Now, every single morning, I would struggle to get out of bed. And then the rest of the day just unraveled from there. And I got to be honest with all of you. If I hadn't discovered what I'm about to share with you, I know that I would have gotten divorced. I know that Chris and I would be bankrupt. I know that I would probably be an alcoholic. I don't know what I'd be doing for a living. But I'd probably be a very bitter person. Because have you ever noticed that when things aren't going so great, it's so tempting to do this, isn't it? It's your fault. This isn't fair. I don't deserve this. This shouldn't be happening. That you tend to point the finger and think that it's somebody else's fault or something's fault when your life isn't going or your business isn't going how you want it to go. But have you ever noticed how we're designed? That when you point the finger and you try to blame somebody else, there's actually 3 fingers pointing right back at you. I think God did that on purpose because I think God wants to remind you, each and every one of us, that the power is in you. Even when you don't feel like it, even when the self-doubt is raging, even when you tell yourself you're not worthy, even when you tell yourself you're unlovable, the power to change that is in you. Now, I didn't believe that at the time. I didn't know that at the time. I was sitting at home that night, and I knew I needed to change. I just couldn't make myself do it. And I was sitting there, and I was watching TV, and I was having one of those talks with myself. You ever had one of those talks where you're like, all right, that's it. That's it. Tomorrow morning, it's the new you. Tomorrow morning, you're going to change. Tomorrow morning, you're getting to the gym. Tomorrow morning, you're going to call those people you've been avoiding about this business. Tomorrow morning, you're not going to drink. Tomorrow morning, you're going to be nice to your spouse. And then all of a sudden, I saw this rocket ship blasting across the television screen, and I had this idea. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the answer. That's the answer. That's the answer to the snooze alarm. Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, Mel, you're going to rocket out of bed. You're going to launch so fast that your feet are going to hit the floor before self-doubt hits your brain. That's what you're going to do. Now look, it could have been the 4 Manhattans I had that gave me that idea, because I was drinking an awful lot back then. And you're reaching for the things that don't work because your life's not working. Well, for whatever reason, everybody, I'll never forget it. It was a Tuesday in February, 2008. Anybody else have a lousy year in 2008? Yeah. Well, the alarm went off, that's what happened. I knew I should get up, but that window opened up that I'm talking about. Didn't feel like getting up. I started saying, this is a dumb idea, not even going to work. Why even bother? And all of a sudden I did something I had never done before. I started counting backwards, just like Nelson. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And all of a sudden I couldn't believe it. I was standing up. I was like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I went on with my day. So the next morning, the alarm goes off. That's what happened. I knew I should get up, but I didn't feel like it. That gap started to open up. I started to think about what I needed to do. All of a sudden, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm standing up again. The next morning, the alarm went off. That's what happened. That gap opened up. I started thinking about, did I want to get up? Nope. Started coming the excuses. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm up. Now, by the third morning, I'm going to be honest, I was a little freaked out. I started to wonder, you know, my grandparents, I know that they were farmers and they owned a bakery. Is there like a witch in there somewhere? Because is this like a spell? This is like a weird thing. And so I did this thing. I said to myself, okay, let's test this. Let's test this little 5-second thing. I get that it works to help you get out of bed. But could you use this little countdown thing in other situations? So I made myself a promise. I said, okay, now, if you're in a situation where you know what to do, but you just don't feel like it, you know what you should do, but you start to get scared. Let's count backwards and let's see what happens. So I walk into the kitchen, and you know how that thing happens with the people that you love, where you see them and then all of a sudden you just want to kill them? You know how that happens? Well, my husband, Chris, of 22 years, was sleeping on the couch at this point because we were fighting like cats and dogs, and there he was in the kitchen, and I saw him, it was just like, I just wanted to, because it was so much easier to blame him, right, for our financial problems. But here's the deal. I didn't want to get divorced. I loved him. I was just afraid. I didn't think that we could get out of the mess that we were in. I didn't know how we were going to fix this. And so I was literally living my life triggered by everything. I was out of control. My emotions were going crazy. So I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And all of a sudden, something magical happened in my marriage. For the first time, I literally had the ability to control my emotions and speak to him from a place of my values and from the outcome that I wanted, instead of being so triggered. I see the phone, and I know I need a network, but I don't know about you. Networking stinks. I mean, oof. But hey, it would help to get a job. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm picking up the phone. I see my sneakers. I know I need exercise, but it's February. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm out the door. And I'll be darned. If slowly but surely, my entire life didn't change because I suddenly had a tool to change. Now, Chris took it into the restaurant business. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're renegotiating leases. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're reworking the P&L. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're walking into meetings with investors, even though they feel like frauds, and they're terrified to have these conversations. And slowly but surely, they crawled their way out of it 5 seconds at a time. Now, here's the deal. I didn't intend to tell anybody. Because first of all, it sounds kind of stupid. Oh, you want to be free? Count to 5. Speech is over. I'm out, everybody. See you later. Secondly, I didn't know why it worked. I mean, think about it for a second. Why would something so simple work? Why would it help you sell? Why would it make you more confident? Why would I give you courage? I had no clue. Well, all that changed about 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, by this point, I had 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cold my way to a radio audition. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the show gets amazing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm syndicated, I win awards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, CNN is falling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, my marriage is improving. 5, 4, 3, I mean, it's just like over and over and over. And somebody asked me if I would come and give a speech on career change. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time I'd ever given a speech in my entire life. So if you want to know what it looks like to have a 21-minute-long panic attack, I would invite you to watch this, okay? And we're about a minute in, and you can see that my chest is already quite flush and the neck rash is coming on, okay? Well, by minute 18, I have such an acute moment of anxiety. I forget how to end the speech. And so I stand on the stage and I go, oh, there's this thing I do. I call it the 5-second rule. The moment you have an instinct to do something, you gotta move within 5 seconds or else your brain's gonna kill the idea. That was it. I turn, I leave, I say to my husband, I'm never giving a talk again. That was absolutely horrendous. Somebody put this thing online. Do you realize it has 14 million views? That's not the crazy part. The crazy part is people started to write. And by people, I mean strangers. And by strangers, I mean 250,000 of them from 91 countries. And those are just the ones that have emailed. And what do you suppose they were writing about? Whoa, I heard about the 5-second rule, Mel, and I'm on pace to double my business, and I'm present with my kids. Wow, I started using the 5-second rule, and I've got the courage to reach out to people. Wow, Mel, I brought the 5-second rule back to USAA, and we're #1 in the region. Guess what? Our team's #1 in the country. Why? Well, let me tell you something. You're not selling anything if you're thinking about selling it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 overrides your habit of overthinking it and teaches you how to just do it. Now, should you teach it to the other members of your team? Absolutely. Should you teach it to your children? Definitely, but I'm going to warn you, they will use it on you, so proceed with caution, okay? Be careful when you do this. You know, you're going to find that when you first learn it, you're going to start using it immediately, because it's kind of obvious. It's a self-coaching tool. In those moments when normally you talk yourself out of doing the things you need to do, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're going to start to see that gap I'm talking about where you hold yourself out, where you're not free at all. You're a prisoner to your excuses. You're going to see that gap everywhere. Once you see it, you can push right through it. Now, one of the things that I'm really proud of is that people around the world are using the 5-second rule in combination with CBT therapy in order to manage addiction. One of the things that we hear from people all the time around the world is that when you think about sobriety as a 5-second decision that you make over and over all day long, it becomes much easier to manage. Now, one of the things that has humbled me beyond words, and I think particularly with the news of Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade last week, this really hits home. As of last week, we know of 47 people who have not committed suicide because they have used the 5-second rule to stop themselves. It's pretty incredible. Now, this gentleman right here, his name is Steve Montgomery. Steve is a veteran. He's one of our veterans. And like way too many of our veterans, he suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. And as he wrote to us and explained the story, he boarded the ferry with the intention of jumping over. Now, I don't know how amazing your life is right now or how low you feel. But what I do know is that the wisdom that is inside you, the power that's in you, that's guiding you, it never leaves you. It's a matter of whether or not you have the clarity to hear it and the courage to listen to it. So Steve is standing next to that railing. And that wisdom that's in you, that wisdom that will heal your family, that will grow your business, that will set you free, it speaks to Steve and it says, hey buddy, this isn't the answer. Steve knows the 5-second rule, so he goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What I'm going to teach all of you is that as simple as it sounds, it's doing something powerful. When you count backwards, you're using metacognition. That's a fancy word for brain trick. You are overriding the excuses that get encoded right here as a closed loop. We're going to talk a lot about those, because that's what's keeping you. That's what's keeping you trapped. We go to work here, we will set you free. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 interrupts right here and draws your focus to your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that you're using when you act with courage, when you're selling, when you're learning new behavior, and when you're solving problems and working towards your goals. I had invented by mistake one of the most powerful brain tricks on the planet. Now I see somebody in uniform as he walks away. Now that's what happened. And that gap opens up again because he starts thinking, oh my gosh, what are they going to think? And are they going to feel uncomfortable? And what, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now he's got the courage to ask for help. And they have an ambulance waiting and the ferry gets to shore. Now, if you wanted the license plate, it's gone in Arizona, okay? And I need to say a couple disclaimers about the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is for those moments when your wisdom is kicking up and you know you should do something, but you start to talk yourself out of it. It's for speaking up. It's for pulling away from things that are destructive. It's for pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It is not for signing a contract, okay? It is not for getting married. It is not for placing a gambling bet, for those of you in here that gamble. And it is not for getting a tattoo. And I need to say this because we keep getting these. So if you're inclined to want to get one, try half first to make sure that you like it. Now, of the thousands that we have received, and we love receiving these, I love this one the most because this is your life. This is my life. Your life is an infinite loop of things that are happening and how you respond. And here's one of the most liberating things, talk about freedom, that ever happened to me. It's when I realized you can't control what happens, but you can always choose how you respond. And when you embrace that powerful idea that you can't control whether or not people are going to roll their eyes at you. You can't control whether or not people are going to say no. Dumbest thing in the world to say no to an opportunity like this, right? You can't control that, but you can choose how you respond. And when you realize that life can do what life is doing, and you are constantly in control of your thoughts and action, that is the definition of freedom. Just ask God.
Not only has 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 helped me overcome an addiction to the snooze button, but it's also helped me to stay sober and away from substances. Even finding out that my grandma's cancer was back this weekend, where normally that would send me into a spiral, to make some choices that were not in my best interest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm able to stay strong for my family, to keep my career going, and continue the good progress I've made after 3.5 years of sober.
That is the definition of freedom. That is the definition of freedom, when you become the kind of person that is fully aligned with your values. You become the kind of person who is unstoppable. You become the kind of person who is not triggered by life. That is freedom, because then you're in control of creating whatever outcome you want. I can't stress this enough. And so I want to ask you, what do you need to change? What do you need to change at this phase of your life in order to be happier, in order to be healthier? I mean, when I think about the kind of habits that I had just 3 years ago, when, our oldest was only in 10th grade, when I was just speaking. I didn't have 2 companies and a talk show and publishing imprints and all this stuff. The habits that I had as a mother, as a wife, just 3 years ago, very different than the habits that I need now in order to seize the opportunity that's in front of me right now, in order to be a better mother to a kid that's in college, in order to be a better wife at year 22 instead of year, 15. What do you need to change? Is it how you talk to yourself? Is it the people you hang out with? Is it your health habits? Are there destructive people in your life? What do you need to change? You know the answer to that. You do. Because again, it's not what. Y'all are very, very smart. You know what you need to change. What we're going to talk about is the secret to answering this one, the much harder. In the moment when it matters, as the world is changing around you, in that moment, will you change?
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. Finally, you would dream where you are now. You would dream the dream of living the life that you are actually living today.
There is only one sensible thing to do with this empty existence, and that is fill it.
Live long and prosper.
Make somebody who hurts you.
The most important word in that sentence is will. Not will you or won't you, but do you have the will to push yourself to change? Do you have the will to push yourself out of bed when you don't feel like it, to walk up to somebody you're scared to talk to draw boundaries in your life with the people that are sucking you dry? The answer is yes, you will, because you're going to have this puppy in your back pocket. So let me explain how you use it. The moment you're in a situation where you know what you need to be doing, but you hesitate, you start to feel yourself talking yourself out of it, you start to feel the fear coming in, you start to feel the excuses coming up, you're going to count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, a couple things about that, everybody. Number one, if you're with a lot of people, please do not count out loud, because you're going to sound like a weirdo. Might even scare some people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're like, whoa, what's happening over there? It's strange. Second, do not count up. It will not work. The reason it won't work if you count up has to do with science, and it also explains why it works. You see, when you and I were little, we were taught to count up, right? We did it over and over and over and over and over and over again, so it got stored as a pattern right here. What we want to do is interrupt the patterns that are stored right here as a closed loop in your basal ganglia, and we want to draw your focus here. Now, there's a lot of you that are already starting to think, well, wait a minute. If I use 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I do it like 10 times, doesn't it become a pattern now? Absolutely. What we're doing is we're overriding the patterns of self-doubt, and we're replacing it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with the pattern of confidence. We're overriding your habit of overthinking the littlest things with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why not try it? That new habit. We're overriding your habit of going, ooh, maybe I should talk to that person at another time. I don't know. I don't feel ready to talk to that person with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why not? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And so you have to count backwards in order for it to work. Now, I think the applications of this are really obvious. You're going to start to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up, and then you're going to hate me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and get to the gym, and then you're going to hate me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and walk up to people and talk to them about the business and becoming a member. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're going to hate me. You're going to start using it for things that are a little bit more difficult, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walk away from the alcohol. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower your tone of voice as you're talking to your kids or your spouse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, redirect your thoughts. I want to show you what's happening in your brain when you use it. I want to also show you that sometimes what happens is that we get to the point where you were once very successful and then life happens. Remember, you can't necessarily change what's going on around you. You can't control it. but you can always choose how you respond. So if there are those of you in this audience that feel like you were once flying high and then life hit you, right? And the fact that you experienced a divorce, or you experienced a setback, or your business used to be booming and now it's not, and that's impacted your confidence, the most important thing about the 5-second rule is you now have a tool to push through. And that's everything. So let me show you what's happening in your mind when you count backwards. The red part is your basal ganglia. That's where self-doubt is stored. That's where procrastination is stored. That's where every excuse, every habit that you have is stored. The green part is the prefrontal cortex. Let's count out loud together and let's see what happens in your brain on a functional MRI when you're using this. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Now, for those of you that felt a little pressure up here, I'm not a hypnotist. That's not part of this act, okay? You were just by counting, you were mindfully, like a form of meditation, shifting gears. That's why you feel that. Lots of people feel that as they use it. Now, I want to talk to you about the 2 modes of your brain. That one is the part of the brain that actually helps you, and the other part is the one that traps you. The part that traps you is autopilot. I'm going to explain autopilot this way. Have you ever had the experience where you are driving somewhere and you get there and you go, oh my gosh, who drove the car? I don't remember driving the car. What just happened? Right? Well, you did. It's just that you've driven home so many times the same way that you can use this part of your brain. You can do it without even thinking. Now, the moment that a deer jumps out or there's a detour, your brain automatically switches gears and hands control to this part of your brain. Now, the problem with autopilot is autopilot works beautifully for things like writing with your right hand, which is a habit, or writing with your left hand. But autopilot will literally trap you. Autopilot will sabotage your business. And there's this particular habit that you have that you don't even realize that I'm going to point out right now, because autopilot has already interfered with your ability to get the most out of this convention possible. How many of you are excited to be here because you know by being here you're going to increase your personal network inside of the Young Living family? Raise your hands so we can see a show of hands. Exactly. Great. Now, how many of you are sitting next to someone you know? So I'm going to go to Salt Lake and spend this money and all this time so I can meet people at Young Living, and then I'm going to sit with the people that I know. Now, that's an example of knowing what to do, but not making yourself do it. Interesting, right? But here's what's even more interesting. Do you know why that happened? The reason why it happened is because autopilot is making decisions for you while you're here. You see, we all have a habit that is detrimental to growing a business, it's detrimental to selling, and I'm going to explain the habit right now because it is so ingrained in each and every one of you that you fell prey to it this morning. The habit is this. When we were in first grade, remember what it was like? You walk into the cafeteria and you get your tray, get your stuff, right? And then what do? You go out into the open room, and what do you do when you go into an open room? You look for your friends. Every single time you walk into an open space, a soccer field, a school gymnasium, the workshop sessions that you're going to next, walking into an open room triggers you to go into autopilot. That's how fast it happens. Autopilot takes over without even thinking. When you go to the workshops that happen after this, you know what's going to happen? You're going to walk into an open room, you're going to start looking for your friends because you're going to be on autopilot. I want you to practice behavior change here and now. This is what I want you to do. When you walk into your workshops after this, or you walk into the next general session, as you walk in and you catch yourself looking for your friends, that is a moment of power. I want you to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I want you to look for the first person that you don't know, and I want you to walk right up to it. That's what I want you to do, and I want you to sit down next to it. Because you know that's the fastest way to increase your network. Now, 95% of you are not going to do it, and that's a shame. And the reason why it's a shame is you can practice changing your habits and getting out of your comfort zone here. before you go home. Because you know as well as I do, that growing your business is about talking about your business. You know as well as I do that you see people every single day that you want to invite. I call it your chicken list. You got people on the list that you want to talk to, that you keep talking yourself out of talking to them. Every time you walk onto a soccer field, you see them, autopilot, oop, look for my friends, not going over there. So I want you to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, every single room you walk into, catch yourself, interrupt your own behavior, and practice behavior change. If you start doing that now, it's going to be a lot easier to do it later. So let's talk about the biggest excuses that people have. How many people suffer from procrastination in here? Okay, well the rest of you are just procrastinating and raising your hand. I got you number. So here's the thing I want you to know about procrastination. There's a professor in Canada that's been studying procrastination, get this, for 19 years. I mean, can you imagine? Whoa. But his research really changed a lot for me. And here's what he discovered. Believe it or not, procrastination has nothing to do with what you need to do. Procrastination has nothing to do with work. Procrastination has nothing to do with your ability to grow your business. Nothing. Procrastination, get this, I want you to really embrace this idea. Procrastination is a form of stress relief. I'm going to unpack this because it's really important. So, you and I, we all have stress, right? Maybe your mom or dad's health isn't doing so great, so you're worried about it. Maybe you got a kid or an animal that's hurting and you're worried about it. Maybe you're facing some financial problems like I was, or you're with your spouse like I was. And so you got all this stress that's got nothing to do with your young living business. And you go and you sit down at your computer and you have all these people that you need to email or call about your young living business. That requires your prefrontal cortex. And your prefrontal cortex looks at you and is like, oh, do I have to make these phone calls right now? Don't you know that I'm worried about Mom's health? Can't I just watch a cat video instead, please? And next thing you know, an hour has gone by and then you're even more stressed out, right? The only way to fight procrastination is to A, understand it, and then B, we're going to override it. Because you're getting triggered by stress. You're capable of building your business. You're capable of making those phone calls. You're just triggered by stress. So the next time you catch yourself procrastinating, you're going to go, oh, I'm procrastinating. What am I stressed about? Just ask yourself, what am I stressed about? Acknowledging what you're actually stressed about lowers it in your body. Then you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to awaken your prefrontal cortex, and you're going to do one thing. I want you to send one email. I want you to make one phone call. I want you to do one push-up, whatever it is that you're avoiding. And here's why only one. I'm not trying to turn you into the Energizer Bunny. I'm trying to give you freedom from procrastination. I'm trying to make you understand that when you procrastinate, it's just because stress is triggering you to. And I want to change that. So the next time you're stressed and procrastinating, you're going to go, oh, I'm stressed, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to do something. And here's what's fascinating. If we can get you to start, more than 80% of you keep going. Because it's not your ability to work. It's not your ability to talk about young living. It's not your ability to make that phone call. It's not in your ability. You just have trained yourself to stop doing things whenever you're stressed. And what happens when you do that is you're going to triple your sales. I'm not kidding. Because when you see how often stress is triggering you to not do the small things every single day, you will suddenly not be able to hide. You're not going to be happy with me, but you're not going to be able to hide. You're going to be able to keep pushing and doing the things you need to do. So let's talk about the biggest thing that traps all of us. Let's talk about the mind game. This is the hardest thing for me. We're going to talk about nerves and we're going to talk about anxiety. And look, it is normal to feel nervous, okay? In fact, if you're not nervous, at least 3 times a week, you should be nervous. And you know why? Because it tells me if you're not nervous 3 times a week, that you're not doing anything new. Seriously, how do you expect to grow your business if you don't make yourself nervous? How do you expect to get your dreams and have everything come true if you're not stepping out of your comfort zone? to teach you why nerves are important and how you can use them to your advantage. This is research, by the way, from Harvard Medical School that's only a year old, and it's as simple as the 5-second rule, and it works like a charm. Please teach this to everybody you know. First, let's talk about nerves and excitement. Because in your body, the physiological state of being nervous is the exact same thing as being excited, and I'm going to prove it to you. So, you know, is she nervous or is she excited? Well, whatever you said is true. Because the only thing that's different between nerves and excitement is what your brain is saying. It's the only difference. The last time I was nervous, I was in the middle school hallway. We have a 13-year-old son who won the genetic lottery. This kid got a little bit of dyslexia from me, he's got anxiety from me, he's got slow processing and dysgraphia from my husband. We've thrown a little executive functioning just to round him out, you know. And I don't know about any of you, but every year we would have to go to the public school and do one of these meetings, like an IEP meeting, where basically if you don't have to do that, it means you beg the school to give your kid the help that they need. And so I would be standing in the school hallway, and my stomach would be in knots, and my heart would be racing, and my armpits would be sweating like Niagara Falls, and my throat would be tight, and my palms would be clammy, and my head would be going, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, what happens if this doesn't work out? I don't like that person that's in there, what are we going to do if they don't, and of course by getting nervous in my head, I'm just jacking up the cortisol in my body, so my heart's going faster, my stomach's even worse, so by the time we actually get into the meeting, I'm like a blubbering mess. I can't put a sentence together. I start crying and yelling at people. It's a total disaster. Now let's talk about the last time I was excited. The last time I was excited, did any of you see U2 last summer when they did the Joshua Tree tour? Yes. That was incredible. That was incredible. Basically what happened is they had booked the stadium tour, and then they weren't finished with the album they were going to tour on. And they were like, uh-oh. So they decided to play their greatest hits album of all time from 1987, which was the year, like right when I graduated from high school. So I walk into Gillette Stadium, and the videos from high school are playing from 1984, and the music starts to go. And let me tell you, my stomach was in knots, my armpits were sweating like Niagara Falls, my heart was racing, my throat was tight, my hands were clammy. But I was so excited. I was so excited to see what was about to happen. So here's the trick. I'm going to tell you, I told you the science because if I just told you the trick, you would think it was the dumbest thing and you'd never use it. The next time you're nervous, you got somebody on that chicken list, you start to feel your stomach going, you start to feel your armpits sweating. The next time you're nervous, you're going to go, I'm so excited to talk to that person. I'm so excited to fire this person. I'm so excited to have a hard conversation, and something incredible is going to happen. First of all, you're going to stabilize your body, and you are going to not feel as nervous. And secondly, you're going to keep control of your thoughts, because your brain believes you when you say, I'm excited. And the thing that they found out at Harvard Medical School is that when they taught this to kids, in every situation, from standardized tests, to speaking competition, to running track meets, to playing baseball, every single student that was taught to say I'm excited in situations where they were nervous performed better. And so will you. You don't need to take my word for it, it's science. And I need to teach you this because what's going to happen is you're going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, push yourself out of your comfort zone. I want you to do that. And then you're going to be nervous and you're going to be mad at me. So when you get nervous, I want you to recognize, oh, this is what Mel was talking about. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm so excited, and you're going to be shocked by how much better you perform. Now let's take it up. We're worrying, nerves, it's kind of like the baby. Now let's take it up to the big one. Let's talk about anxiety. And if you have children that struggle with anxiety, please pay attention. I have been startled by the number of parents that we hear from whose children are struggling with anxiety and they're struggling for it. We ourselves, 2 of our kids struggle with anxiety. And, you know, I gotta tell you, when you put an idea out in the world, like I did 7 years ago, and it changes people's lives, something happens to you. You know, people start to write to you and say, I'm able to be sober. I'm tripling my income. My marriage is better. I walked away from the road. Like, it does something to you. I was so humbled that I not only felt a moral obligation to figure out why the 5-second rule works and how to explain it to people, but I felt this obligation to confront my deepest demons using it. And you know, a lot of people look at me on stage and they say, oh, well, she was just born confident and annoying. Annoying for sure. I mean, just ask my dad, who's sitting in the audience, and let's get choked up here. Hi, Dad. Annoying for sure. But confident? No way. You know, I think if you can be a baby that worries, that was me. You know, I was the kind of kid that turned bright red at camp. I grew up in turned bright red in class. I grew up in Western Michigan, and when I got sent to Pentwater to Girl Scout camp in 6th grade, I was so homesick, they sent me home. I mean, you know how homesick you need to be sent home, for crying out loud? By the time, you know, I was in high school, I was chugging milk of Malanta before tennis matches. By the time I was in college, I had anxiety attacks. By the time I was 21, it was full-blown panic disorder. Somebody put me on Zoloft at the age of 21. It was a miracle drug for me. I took it for 2 decades. The only time I came off of it was when our now 19-year-old daughter was born, and I had such severe postpartum depression. I couldn't be left alone for 8 weeks. So when I talk about these heavy topics, I take this very seriously. When I talk about the mental game and how you listen to the garbage that somebody else put in your head when you were little, I take this seriously. You're not to blame for what happened to you, but we all have a responsibility to write a new future for ourselves. And it starts with the way that you talk to yourself. And so about 5 years ago, I said to myself, I wonder if you could cure yourself of anxiety using the 5-second rule. And the answer is yes, you can. So I've been off meds for 5 years. I haven't had a panic attack, a bout of anxiety. I don't even worry about anything. And I am going to show you how you can do the same thing. Because I know there are those of you, and the only thing that you're struggling with, the thing that keeps you trapped, is that you don't think you're worthy because somebody made you believe it. That you don't feel loved because somebody else made you believe it. And I am here to tell you, you can set yourself free from that, and this is how you do it. So I'm going to use an example that a lot of you may be able to relate to, and that's the fear of flying. So I used to be a real nervous flyer, and by nervous, I mean very strange. I'd get to the airport, and I'd get to the gate, and I'd want to see 3 kinds of passengers in the gate area. I want to see a baby, check. I'd like to see someone in a wheelchair, check. I want to see men and women in the service, check, check. Because then I could say to myself, okay, if these folks are getting on the plane, God's not letting this pup go down. So, you know, I'd get on. And then I would get on the plane, and I'd start to have my stomach turning, and my heart would start to race, and I'd start to feel nervous, and the armpits would start to sweat. And then, you know how the plane does that thing where it takes off, and it's like sort of okay, it's like taking off, and then all of a sudden, like 2 minutes in, it goes from like E to E, and it feels like the plane's about to like drop out of the sky. At that point, all bets are off. If you're sitting next to me, I've grabbed you, I've started hyperventilating, I've pulled out my phone, I'm texting Chris and our 3 children, I'm like, oh, I love you, heart emoji, heart emoji. Because if this plane is about to crash, I need these kids to know I tried to be the best mother that I could, and that way when they give the eulogy and they have a PowerPoint, they can put the text messages in it to show everybody. And you giggle because we're sick human beings. We're sick. If I were to put a speaker on your head and broadcast the garbage you say to yourself, you wouldn't be sitting here with me at the Salt Palace or the arena. You'd be in an institution. But the problem is we listen to it. We listen to this garbage. You don't have to. It's amazing. You don't have to. Your thoughts are patterns. That's right. They're patterns. And you can override them. And here's how you do it. So, the next time your thoughts drift, and they drift, don't they? You get a text or an email from someone in your upline, you're like, what did I do? You don't hear from a friend, they hate me. You just drift, it's garbage. You're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to yank your thoughts forward and you're engage this. And then you're going to drop in what I call an anchor thought. Now, an anchor thought, we're building on the research around nerves, is something that makes you excited about what you're doing. So in your business, I know a lot of us have vision boards, right? I want you to also create an impact board. Take an email from a friend who became a member, who's on your team, who is so happy and thankful that you invited them. Take something from a client, a photo if you're a client who's so happy that you talked to them about this company. And I want that to be your anchor thought, the impact that it makes for you, how proud you feel of yourself when you put yourself out there. And the next time you're nervous, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm so excited to make someone feel like that again. Because remember, you can't control what everybody else is going to do, but you can choose how you respond. And the more visual you make it, the more your brain believes it. So for example, when I get on a plane and I fly, I'm in a metal tube going 400 miles an hour at 30,000 feet, so it's going to bounce, right? When it bounces, my brain goes, uh-oh, and then I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I always drop in a thought that makes me excited about where I'm going. And so when I'm heading back home, I always think about our 13-year-old son. And when I start to get nervous about what the plane is doing, I start saying, I'm so excited to see what Oakley does. I'm so excited to see what Oakley does, because he always has a crazy greeting. And something interesting happens, right? When you have a visual, your brain believes it. And your brain goes, oh, wait a minute. She's not nervous about what this chick says about Young Living. She's excited to have somebody be excited about this, so we don't need to worry about what this person's going to say. Or, hey, she's not worried about the turbulence. She's excited to see Oakley. You trick your brain. And this is just 2 days old, everybody. Do you know how proud it makes me to know that somebody can get on a plane without alcohol or drugs in order to get through it? I mean, that is freedom. And I'm telling you, the way that you change how you think is you attack your thoughts one thought at a time. If that thought doesn't serve you, do not listen to it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, drop in something that makes you proud. And if you think you don't have anxiety, guess again. We all do. I have this thing I call a chicken list. It's the people in business I'm afraid to reach out to. Everybody in here has somebody, right? Now I said to you the secret was 5 seconds. That there's a gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it or talking yourself out of it. And this is so true in your business in particular. It will set you free when you close the gap. It will set you free when you're the kind of person that's like, who cares what they say? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to ask anyway. So I want to help you. I want to do this together. I want you to think of that person that you're terrified to talk to. Okay? You got that person in mind? I'm going to make this easy for you. Everybody get your phones out. Let's take a photo of this. That's right. Hey! I'm in Salt Lake City at the Young Living International Grand Convention. I'm so excited about my business. I'll even do this for you. I'll be on stage like, yeah! And I'll come over here. Oh! Now, whether you do it right now, I don't know if we've got enough Wi-Fi, but let's try it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to send a note. That's it. Can't wait to see you. Who cares what they respond to? Who cares whether they say yes or no? We want you to build the muscle of doing it anyway. Now, before I wrap up, I want to give you one. You want me to do this? Jared's getting one he wants, so here we go. There we go. I'll do it for you guys too. Here we go. Now, before I wrap up, I have a gift for all of you because we don't have time to go into this. Okay, you? I love that you're asking for what you want. I do. I mean that. That is a skill, and not enough people do it. Not enough people do it. I have a gift for you, because we don't have time to cover this as I start to wrap up. There are 5 things that I do every morning. They're habits that are backed by science, that make me a better mother, a better spouse, a better business person, and it certainly gives me the control and the focus that makes me make a lot more money. Very simple habits. And I would like to send you a 45-minute video where I invite you into my home and I walk you through my morning routine and I explain all the science around how I get up and the first 5 things that I do. If you would like to receive this free gift from me, because I love all of you and I want you to have the simple things that make a difference, just text the word courage to the number 313131. Share it with anybody that you want on your team or in your family. If you text that word courage to 3131, you'll get a text back from me and a link. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not gonna stalk you online. I'm just committed to helping you get free. And so if I can show you the things I'm doing that have made a material difference in getting control of my day and control of my life, it is a privilege to do so. I told you the secret is 5 seconds. It's true about making the ask in this business. It's true about whether or not you're going to send that photo that you took, 54321, to a person on your chicken list. It's true about whether or not you 54321 change how you talk to yourself. And I think what we often do, I know I did, is I often say to myself, there's no way that 5 seconds can change the big stuff. There's no way that 5 seconds that just getting out of bed could fix bankruptcy. You know, the fact is, I was wrong. Fixing anything starts with getting out of bed. It starts with 54321 pushing forward. It starts with 54321 continuing to do it. You change everything with a 5-second decision. In fact, I think that each and every one of you is one decision away from a different life. You're one decision away from freedom. Just ask Brittany and Todd. So today is Brittany's wedding day, and what you can't tell from this photo is it's been a really rough decade for this family. You see Todd and Brittany's mom, they got a divorce, and what do you do in divorce? Oh, you fight. You go to court, you get the lawyers involved. You use the kids as pawns, you spend a lot of money, everybody's angry, and then what do? Oh, you get remarried, and it's like a team sport, okay? They hate each other. So Todd's walking his new wife down the aisle, and that wisdom, that power, it speaks to you. That courage, it speaks up to Todd. It's like, dude, you gotta do something to heal this family. There were a million reasons not to do what he did. He made a 5-second decision. He sat his new wife down, turned around, and grabbed this man. That's Brittany's stepdad, by the way. That's a man he hates. I mean, just look at the lady next to them, for crying out loud. And invited him to walk their daughter down the aisle. If you don't think a 5-second decision changes everything, even the big things, you're wrong. They change everything. So whether you use the 5-second rule and the tools that you're learning today and in the workshops later, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of your head and stop thinking about that nonprofit that you've been thinking about for 2 decades. Or you use it to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed, get to the gym, even though you don't feel like it. Or you use it to check off a bucket list, like Carol did. She became more visible in her industry. You could become more visible in this company. Or maybe you're going to check off another bucket list. I don't recommend this one. I don't know why people like to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, but we get a lot of videos about this. Or maybe you're going to use it for something scarier, more profound, like James did. So James came up to me after a speech about a year ago, and he had those big tears that cling to your eyeballs. We call it crocodile tears in our family. And he walked up to me, everybody, and he puts his hands on his belly, and he goes, "Well, Mel, you really got me. I never thought I'd cry at a supply chain engineering conference." And he went on to explain that when I was telling the story about Steve, the veteran on the ferry, he nearly left the room. And people often do when I tell that story. And he said, you know, my baby brother Patrick was a veteran, and he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, and I lost him to suicide last year. And he said, gosh, I just wish you'd taken 5, I wish you'd taken 5. And then I realized, holy cow, when you got to the part about autopilot, you were talking to me. You see, he was a runner, James was, but ever since he lost his brother, he's been so afraid to be out on the road, behind enemy lines, because that's what it's like sometimes, isn't it? When you're up in your head, you're behind enemy lines. Terrifying to think about being out there alone, with his own thoughts. So he said, I'm going to make a 5-second decision, and I'm going to start running again. But this time, I'm going to be doing it to raise money to help prevent suicide in other veterans. Or maybe you'll use it for something really annoying. Because the fact is, you're never too old. Despite what people said in your past, you're never not good enough. And you're never too tired to discover all the magic and joy and opportunity that your life has to offer. And now you know the simple tool. And before we leave, I want you to watch this.
If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?
Oh, there's nothing more.
Could you hear those words?
If I could see your face once more.
When you die, that does not mean that you lose cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live.
You're giving me the most precious moment. I'm getting to be an old man. I need memories like this.
It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all.